Now, I want to talk to you for a second about the law of reversed effort. What the law of reversed effort is a law that states that the more effort you apply to any given task, the less likely you are to achieve it. Now, why this happens is a mystery to a lot of people, but as I've worked through it myself and as I've really figured out how to utilize this to my benefit, I found that the law of reversed effort really comes into play because there is a tremendous amount of fear and doubt that goes into the achievement of most of your desires. Now, if you think about it, when you want money, let's take money as an example. When you want money in your life, usually it's because there's a shortage, that there's a desire for something that you don't have, and you're sitting there going, I need money, I need money, I need money. Well, that's creating a lot of fear and doubt in your mind. You don't have the money, you're afraid of being able to pay rent or buy that new car or whatever it is that you want. And that's not what you want to bring into the ritual. That's not what you want to give the universe, is fear and doubt. You want to give the universe surety. You want to give the universe confidence. And that's what is going to manifest in your life. That's what's going to materialize for you. So, to use this in your benefit, really what you're going to be looking at is instead of going into the ritual with this immense amount of fear and doubt, you go into it going, well, I'm going to take all of this emotion and get rid of it. I'm going to throw it out of me. And so you'll go into the ritual, you'll have that fear and doubt because that's natural. You're not going to be able to not have that if that's the state you're in. But through the ritual, you want to get to a point where that's completely eradicated, where you don't have that anymore. And what's really going to be key is to fully invest yourself in the ritual, to give up that desire entirely to the point when you leave the ritual, there's no doubt at all. You are so certain of the success of the operation that you're not even going to question it. In fact, if you have applied yourself correctly, you won't even care about the end result. You're not going to walk away going, boy, I really hope I get that money. It's not even going to be a concern to you. You're going to go ahead and live your life, and before you know it, you're going to get the money. Now, what I've found is that the quicker that you can give up your attachment to your desire and get to that point of utilizing the law of reversed effort in your benefit, the faster the materialization of your desire is going to be in your life. So if you're able to shut it down within seconds and really get back into that spot and that place of sure knowledge of the thing, your results are going to be nearly instantaneous.
There is a real and magical power that engages when you let go. Anything that you're holding on to, anything that you're attached to, anything that you're afraid to lose, or that you're afraid to not be able to obtain. The easy advice, the mystical advice, if I were a mystic, would be to simply just let it go. Just let it go. And actually, when we're conducting magical operations, spellcasting and rituals to achieve end results in this world, it seems sometimes almost impossible to let go of that attachment. You have desire for that object or that situation or that person, that state of being that drives us to learn these rituals, to master them, perfect them, and to use them in our daily lives. We have to have this massive desire for the end result. But on the other hand, we really need to become divorced from outcome, detached from outcome, so that what we're doing doesn't have necessarily a reward attached to it. It doesn't have a reward that comes along with it, other than the creation of something and the fulfillment that brings. I mean, really, that is the optimal state for all of us to be in. A state in which we can create the best things we can create. And that somehow the resources are going to find its way, right? It's kind of a pipe dream though, isn't it? That's why we use magic. Because we're not just going to wait for the world to find a way. You know, there's a quote from the Bible that's also made its way into culture that wildflowers don't care where they grow. But we are a little more needy than wildflowers, aren't we? all of these needs and wants and desires that we feel so strongly, that we're pushing into the world through our actions, through our development of our own intellect, our own understanding, through our imagination, and then through our magic. We're bringing these things that we desire into full manifestation, but in order to do that, we have to let go of the attachment to that desire. Because the attachment to that desire is actually what's keeping it from manifesting. The fact that we want it so badly, but we feel like it's just out of reach, is what makes it out of reach. One of the greatest turning points in a ritual is when that fear and doubt that's within you becomes transmuted by the black flame into certainty. Into certainty. And that's really where we're trying to reach. Inside the ritual is a place of certainty. That certainty itself is a little difficult to really put our thumb on and diagnose it and break it down into what it means, what it feels like. And so the emotion that I think we can link up with certainty really, really easily is peace. Peace. At the end of every ritual, you should have exhausted all of the emotion that you have in you, all the desire for the end result, all the attachment to the reward. That's been expressed fully. That you have used the ritual time and space and implements and visual connections to reach inside yourself and pull out every last bit of desire and flood your temple with it. And then it's not in you anymore. And it can work in the world. Now for some goals, some outcomes, this is perfect. And it works really, really well. However, it gets a little trickier when we're trying to manifest something that we really, really want or really need. Especially if the need for that thing or the desire for that thing and the pain of not having it yet is still with you. If you're still carrying that with you, if you find yourself being reminded of the fact that you don't have that. To give you an example real quick, the cabinet shop I was working for several years, that I had worked my way up into middle management, and I was able to do color design pretty much all day long. Design new, amazing colors that we could put on cabinetry. Well, the cabinet shop started going through some financial rough times, specifically in 2008 when the whole housing market started collapsing. We felt that pretty heavily, and the company was not able to pay our paychecks for a bit. As they moved closer and closer to bankruptcy, our ability to get paid got pushed further and further back. Now, I started noticing this, and I thought it was okay. I thought I was going to be fine. I thought they were going to get me caught up just in time, but they didn't. They didn't. So, not only did I see my bank account going into the red, but I also saw an eviction notice on my door. It's the only eviction notice I've ever gotten in my life. And it scared me. It humbled me. It specifically just set this fire in me that I was not going to allow my wife and child to be homeless. I could be homeless. I've been homeless so many times, it's ridiculous. Not them. Not my daughter. I was out of options. Because really all my options were invested into this company. Took a picture of the eviction notice and showed it to my manager and said, hey, look, this is what I've got in front of me, and I don't know what to do about it. And he's like, yeah, neither do I. So I took that frustration and I went into this paint shed that we had, a shed that was specifically fireproof and explosion proof, just in case if any of our vats or barrels of different chemicals exploded, that it wouldn't harm anyone. Not that many people had access to that room. Not many people had interest in ever going in there. But it was a quiet place. It was a place I could go to meditate for a few minutes, to clear my mind, or sometimes just get away from the chaos of everything that's going on the floor. So I went into that room and I shut the door, plunged the entire room into darkness, and I found an empty pallet to sit on. And then I simply did the awe mantra. It's just a bija mantra that is spectacular for manifesting and for creating. And so I sat there and I sang "Ah" over and over and fed all of that frustration into that mantra. And the frustration started to leave me. And then I had just perfect peace. I knew it was going to be all right. I didn't know how, but I knew that it was somehow going to be all right. I stood up and switched the lights on. And then the intercom called my name and told me to dial 247. That was the number for accounting. So I picked up the phone, dialed 247, and greeted the accountant, and she said that they'd been going over their books and they noticed that I had made a few trips to Las Vegas back and forth to go fix some cabinets and do some training, and that I hadn't been reimbursed for that yet. And the amount that I was cut was exactly what I needed to pay rent. It wasn't much, but it was exactly what I needed. Instantly. So that's a great example of when it goes right. It's a great example of when it goes right. But let me tell you about when it goes wrong, or when it can start to go wrong. A few years ago, at this point, several years ago now, I was arrested and on trial, basically, for possession of various narcotic substances. And I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared. I was definitely scared. It looked like the prosecutor was going to try to throw the book at us and give us as harsh a treatment as possible. I've learned whenever I get in legal trouble, which does happen, usually find myself on the opposite side of the line. First thing I do is call my attorney. Second thing I do is call Belial. And so this was definitely no different. Called my attorney and then I called Belial. And Belial said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is going to get taken care of. You'll be all right. You're not going to prison. Because that was a real concern. that I did have some serious time that I was looking at. And Belial told me, you're not going to serve a day. Okay, if you say so. That was a lot to trust. I did the ritual of Belial, opening of the gate of the underworld, absolutely exhaust all of that frustration, actually through pounding the ground with my fists, to awaken the underworld deities, and call them up, and also to vent that emotion, to vent that frustration, to give that a voice and a shape in this ritual, so it could be released from me and be used for power. And yeah, wow, it worked. It worked. For a while. As I started getting closer to our first court appearance before the judge to really face these charges face on, I started getting scared. I started looking at the potential time that I might have to do in prison. And then looking at the fact that Belial said I'm not going to do a day, and I would love to trust that, but ooh, that's scary to trust that if it doesn't work out. What am I going to be able to tell myself to validate my own whole belief system, my whole worldview? Whew. It was heavy. It got heavy. That court date went just fine. And then every other court date after that got pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. My attorney was working his magic on one end and Belial was working his magic on the other end. That court case lasted 3 years. 3 years. With repeatedly going back into court, standing before the judge, trying to not freak out, trying to remain detached. Belial gave me a perfect piece of advice. So I'm going to give you. You can use this in any ritual, any spell, anything that you're trying to accomplish that you can feel that resistance, you can feel the fear, you can feel yourself being pulled towards the negative outcome. That is to envision a vision of the future that you are creating that is compelling. What I mean by that is to actually close your eyes. If you had a magic wand and you could set the world right in this particular regard, whatever your spell is being aimed at, what would it look like when you have full success? With this, I saw in my mind's eye, my attorney's office, sitting at his cherry, I believe his cherry desk. It might be walnut, but I think it's cherry. Seeing that desk and seeing him, the suit he's wearing, the tie he's wearing, his glasses, seeing the bookshelves that I would have to turn in his office to see. But I took all that in. All of that visual and auditory and tactile impression and brought it here now. And then I heard him say the words, "They've decided to drop all charges." And I would lock onto that visualization of the future, of the thing that I'm manifesting. I would lock onto that whenever I started feeling fear, whenever I started doubting. I would love to tell you right now that all you have to do is either convert the energy of the emotion that's negative or that's blocking you and convert that in the ritual into peace, and you'll be great. And if you're not able to do that, then hold that visualization of the end result and focus on that when you start to doubt. I wish that I could tell you that those were the only challenges that you're going to come across, but the truth is, as you work magic more and more, you're going to find out, if you haven't already, you're going to find out that there are some real challenges that present themselves in the thing that you're trying to manifest, that you're going to feel that blockage, usually emotionally first, and then you'll start seeing it in the outside world. And some of these just can't be eradicated by happy thoughts. Some of these need a more aggressive approach. That's what I'm going to give you today. This is the power of letting go. Now, I have lovingly referred to this as also the power of fuck it. Now, I'm revealing this to you with this intention. I want your magic to be 100% successful. When I do rituals for myself, 100% of the time, I get exactly what I needed, exactly what I intended, always in a strange way that I didn't foresee. But I have yet to see a ritual not work. I want that for you. If you're not there already, let's get you there. This key is going to help put that in place. One of the adages that I pulled from Ron Popeil, with his amazing devices for the kitchen, is the phrase, set it and forget it. That's what we want to do with magic. We want to set it through the ritual, and then we want to forget it, put it out of our minds. Try to think about it and dwell on it and feel anything towards it as little as possible. You see, once you've already set the ritual, once you've already put this power in motion, any attention paid to the end result or paid to the ritual draws power away from that ritual. And it honestly doesn't even matter if it's a positive thought or a negative thought or whatever. It just matters that you're still dwelling on it. You're not letting it go. Because letting go is the thing that actually makes the magic work. Let go is the magic word that actually brings this all about. And so through the ritual, you set the energy, you set the power, you set this into motion. But now what if you can't forget it? Because it really is the stuck point that just about all of us will have at some point or another, right? What if you just can't put it out of your mind? You were so desperate for this person that you're trying to bewitch to pay attention to you, or that job opportunity needs to come, or you're not going to be able to make it. These are very real things that a lot of us, probably all of us, have to deal with at some point or another. If you've done the ritual and you exhausted all the emotion that you had towards that end result in the ritual, you can fairly assume that the powers that be, the powers that you called forth for that ritual end, are working towards it tirelessly. And they're making it come about exactly when it needs to. But what if you can't forget about it? What if you can't put it out of your mind? That's when it's time to invoke the power of fuck it. So what is the power of fuck it, or the power of letting go? What does that actually look like? Well, to put it in some context for you, fuck it, this spell's never going to work. Fuck this magic. I'm wasting my time. Fuck this whole situation. This whole situation is fucked, and it's probably not going to unfuck itself. I'm probably fucked. Fuck that spirit. I am never calling that fucker again. So these are all examples of how That might sound the power of fuck it. And why is that a power? Because you're letting go. Because it takes you to, it's a different path to arrive to the same palace. The palace of non-attachment. If the thoughts and the feelings of attachment to that end result are so strong that you can't ignore it, you have to acknowledge it. It's like the shadow that's there, that's creeping behind you. You have to turn and face that shadow. And then it will haunt you no more, but it becomes your ally. This is no different. So you're turning and you're facing the fear. You're facing the doubt. And you're even accepting it to a degree. You're accepting it in that you know, accept it and then let it go. I actually started using this with some of my clients who hire me for ritual for hire. When they hire me to do a ritual and I've performed the ritual and I give them their video, almost every time that somebody writes me back saying that they're not happy with the ritual, they haven't watched the video. That is a key component. Not too many ritualists out there, professionals, will provide or offer or even make an exception to make available a video of their ritual. Most people actually don't film rituals at all. I do. I film just about every ritual now, documenting it and sharing it with the world. And through that video that I send my clients, they get some insight into what the Spirit actually told them that they need to do to get into alignment with their end result. I channel whatever information I can that's going to be helpful to them. I will also be able to channel information about how we need to make some adjustments to thoughts, beliefs, patterns, behaviors, actions that are contrary to the end result that they're trying to achieve. So all of these things are wrapped into that video. And once again, every single time that I have somebody write to me and complain that they don't see results yet, even though they've not watched the video and it's only been 2 days, I realized that arguing with them, trying to convince them, never really worked. That they were already set within themselves that this wasn't going to work. And so I started doing this. I started applying the law of fuck it. The power of fuck it. The power of letting go. I'll explain to them that the biggest blockage to their success at that moment is their attachment to that end result and their inability to let go. And that if only they would watch the video, there would be instructions in there on how they could do that. But if they wouldn't watch the ritual video, if they were already determined that this wasn't going to work, that I wasn't going to argue with them, and actually I invited them to call me a crook, to express how upset and enraged they are, and to let me know that I'm a complete fraud and a complete fake. And they can go about their lives and let the whole world know what a fake I am. Every single time I've done this, the client has returned usually within a couple of days, sometimes sooner, saying, aha, sorry I doubted you, it just barely came. I just got the call, or I just had the package, or I just had the person come to me and say the things that they needed to say. Every single time. Because they're not able to arrive to that place of non-attachment through investment in the magic. Because they themselves aren't touching the magic. They're not even watching the video of the magic. They're not connecting to the magic. But they still need to let go. And that's when the law of fuck it, the law of letting go, was codified inside of my magical being. It is powerful. It's vulnerable. It's scary because these are deep fears, especially for a magician, to look inside and say, this is all bullshit. Fuck this. That challenges a whole lot. That challenges, sometimes for me, that challenges the core of who I am. I accept that challenge. And so when I find myself working towards a magical goal, with any kind of obstacle in my path, exhaust that through the ritual. That only takes care of the present emotion. That doesn't take care of future emotion that might gather as you go forward. And then I try to create that compelling vision of the future and project that and overlay reality with that until objective reality takes on that form. And if those two fail, that's when it's time to turn to the law of fuck it, the power of fuck it, the power of letting go. Because true power is effortless. And the reality is we don't create wealth. We don't create love. We don't create prosperity. We don't create opportunities. In actuality, wealth and abundance and prosperity, love, satisfaction, fulfillment, opportunity, all of these things, I believe, are the natural state of existence. That we are living inside of a field of infinite potential, waiting for us to mold it into whatever shape we want. We don't create those things. What we create are blockages. We create excuses on why we can't. We create stories that tell us that we're too weak or too stupid or too whatever. And we can't get what we want. We can't get what we need. We create the blockage. And so the power of letting go, the power of fuck it, is really the ability to look head on at the thing you don't want to look at and to accept it and then let it go. And then those blockages just fall away. You're no longer holding them up to protect yourself. This approach can revolutionize every aspect of your spirituality, every aspect of your magic, every aspect of your life. Because really, letting go feels better than just about anything else. Letting go. Dropping the things that are holding you back. And then you're perfectly open to receive everything beyond what you could even imagine. So go ahead and put this into practice. See if you can start finding things that you can let go of, frustrations you can drop. And if you start finding your magic isn't working as effectively as you want, maybe it's just time to say fuck it. And that's when you really dive headfirst into the abyss. And that's when you awaken. Now, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. There's so much value being communicated and transmitted through this channel from myself and from everybody that I work with at Become a Living God. I am so proud of what we do. So proud of the things that we create and the impact that we have in this world. And it's just getting started. So subscribe now. You can also join, become a member of the channel. You can do that right here. Now go become a living God.